What are the secret weaknesses of people you need to know now? Zen and Buddhist teachings. The illusion of strength. It's easy to assume that confidence, success, and power are signs of true strength. When we see someone standing tall, speaking with authority, or achieving great things, we believe they are strong. But what if this strength is just an illusion? What if beneath the surface, there are hidden weaknesses, fears, regrets, and doubts that define us more than our successes ever could? In Zen and Buddhist philosophy, there is a saying, "The river seems calm, but beneath the surface, the current is strong." What we see in others is rarely the full picture. True wisdom comes not from judging appearances but from understanding the hidden vulnerabilities that shape human nature. This is the journey of a traveler who believed he understood people, until he met a monk who revealed the 10 hidden weaknesses that affect us all. These lessons transform the traveler's perspective and, by the end of this journey, may transform yours as well. Chapter 1. The Fear of Being Forgotten. Even the strongest person wants to be remembered, the monk said. In a world that moves fast, everyone fears fading into obscurity. We chase recognition through achievements, social media, or relationships, hoping to leave a mark. But does being remembered truly matter? The traveler thought about the people he had met, powerful leaders who built statues of themselves, artists who longed for immortality through their work, even ordinary people who shared stories just to feel seen. All of them feared one thing: disappearing from memory. But what if the true meaning of existence was never about being remembered, but about living with purpose, compassion, and authenticity? The monk continued, "This world is like a great river. Some throw stones to make ripples, hoping others will see the waves they create. But the river always flows on, and the ripples fade. Is it not wiser to become the river itself? To flow freely, nourishing life wherever you pass, without worrying who notices?" The traveler reflected on this deeply. He had seen great monuments crumble, names of rulers forgotten, and once celebrated heroes reduced to footnotes in history. Yet, he had also seen the acts of kindness from unknown strangers ripple through generations, shaping lives in ways unseen and unrecorded. But how do we let go of the need to be remembered? The traveler asked. By recognizing that our attachment to remembrance is rooted in ego. The monk replied, "We believe our existence is validated through acknowledgement, that our worth depends on how many recall our names. But true fulfillment does not come from being remembered. It comes from living in alignment with the present. From acts of kindness done without expectation. From wisdom shared without ownership." The traveler recalled a story the monk had once shared about an ancient tree. This tree never sought recognition, never demanded attention, yet for centuries it had provided shelter, oxygen, and food to countless beings. Birds built their nests in its branches. Weary travelers found shade beneath its canopy. And even when it withered, its fallen leaves nourished the earth. Should the tree lament that no one remembers its name? The monk asked. Or should it find contentment in the life it has given? Understanding dawned upon the traveler. So, we must live fully, not for recognition, but for the intrinsic value of the life we create. The monk nodded. Indeed, those who chase after remembrance will always be haunted by the fear of being forgotten. But those who live with sincerity and presence need no legacy beyond the love and wisdom they impart in each moment. That is how we transcend the fear of being forgotten, not by ensuring our name is remembered, but by ensuring that our existence, however fleeting, brings meaning to the world around us. The traveler sat in silence, feeling a weight lift from his heart. He no longer feared being forgotten. He now understood that true significance is not about how long one is remembered, but how deeply one touches life itself. Chapter 2. The Desire for Control. One who clings to control is like a man trying to hold the wind in his hands. People meticulously plan their lives, constructing elaborate frameworks to shield themselves from uncertainty. They micromanage, orchestrating every detail, believing that meticulous preparation can bend reality to their will. But despite their efforts, life remains unpredictable. Events unfold beyond human foresight. Opportunities arise from the unexpected, and disappointments come from the unforeseen. The traveler once encountered a wealthy merchant who had spent years securing his fortune, crafting a future free from hardship. Yet, when a great storm came, his ships were lost at sea, and his wealth vanished overnight. Overwhelmed by despair, the merchant clung to the illusion that he had been in control. His suffering did not come merely from his losses but from his refusal to accept the impermanence of life. Is there no way to protect oneself from uncertainty? The traveler asked the monk. The monk smiled gently. To seek absolute control is to battle against the natural order. Control is an illusion, a fleeting mirage that vanishes when grasped. The tighter you hold, the more suffering you create. The traveler pondered this, but without control, how can one live wisely? To let go does not mean to drift without purpose. The monk explained, it means to navigate life with awareness rather than force. Like a skilled sailor adjusting the sails to the wind, one must learn to move with the currents rather than against them. Wisdom is not in resisting change, but in understanding it. Control is an illusion not because effort is meaningless, but because attachment to a fixed outcome blinds one to the ever-changing nature of existence. The wise do not surrender to passivity, but neither do they attempt to command the tide. Instead, they cultivate mindfulness, responding with clarity to each moment as it unfolds. A bird does not control the sky, yet it soars with ease. A river does not dictate its course, yet it carves through mountains. Those who understand the impermanence of life do not despair at change, they flow with it. And in doing so, they find a freedom that those who cling to control will never know. Chapter 3. The Weakness of Seeking Approval. When you seek approval, you hand others the key to your happiness. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval through grades, praise, or validation from friends and family. As adults, this pattern deepens. People shape their lives based on external expectations, choosing careers to impress others, altering their personalities to fit in, and suppressing their true selves out of fear of rejection. In doing so, they become prisoners of opinion, measuring their worth by the fleeting approval of others. The traveler once met a gifted musician who abandoned his art because his family deemed it impractical. He became a merchant instead, earning wealth but losing joy. Though he had social acceptance, his heart remained unfulfilled. If only I had followed my passion, he lamented, instead of chasing the approval of those who do not live my life. What is the way out? The traveler asked the monk. Live not to please others. The monk said, approval is like a shadow. When you chase it, it flees. When you stand still, it follows. The world's validation is fleeting, but self-respect lasts forever. But is it wrong to want to be liked? The traveler wondered. There is no harm in kindness or connection. The monk replied, but you must not trade authenticity for acceptance. A flower does not bloom to earn approval. It blooms because that is its nature. Likewise, you must live true to yourself, not in pursuit of applause. To live authentically requires courage. It means embracing your strengths and weaknesses, standing firm in your beliefs, and walking your path despite the judgments of others. Those who seek approval endlessly are never truly free, but those who find contentment within become unshakable. In the end, the greatest approval comes from within. Chapter 4. The Weakness of Regret. To hold on to regret is to drink poison and expect time to heal you. People live in the past, replaying mistakes, wishing they had chosen differently. But regret is not a path to wisdom. It is a chain that binds the soul, preventing growth and peace, like a traveler carrying an unnecessary burden. Those who cling to regret find their journey weighed down by what cannot be changed. The traveler had met many burdened by their past, unable to move forward. A scholar who had once failed an exam spent years lamenting his lost opportunity, unable to embrace the lessons of his failure. A merchant who made a poor business decision became paralyzed by self-doubt, refusing to take risks again. Their minds, trapped in the past, could not embrace the present or the possibilities ahead. How does one overcome regret? The traveler asked. Learn from it, then let it go. The monk replied. The past is a teacher, not a prison. Mistakes are inevitable, but their purpose is to guide, not to shackle. A river does not grieve the stone that disrupted its flow. It moves forward, carving a new path. But what if the mistake was great? The traveler asked. What if the burden feels too heavy to release? The weight of regret is determined not by the mistake itself, but by your unwillingness to forgive yourself. The monk said, you cannot walk freely while clutching chains of the past. Acceptance is the key to liberation. Regret, when transformed into wisdom, becomes a source of strength. Those who dwell on the past lose sight of the present, but those who acknowledge their mistakes and release them gain clarity and resilience. In the end, the greatest lesson regret offers is not sorrow, but the understanding that growth is only possible when one lets go. Chapter 5. The Fear of Being Alone. Loneliness is not the absence of people, but the absence of peace within. Why do people stay in toxic relationships? Why do they surround themselves with noise? Afraid of silence? The greatest fear is not being alone. It is facing oneself. Many seek distraction, filling their days with endless conversations, screens, and obligations, hoping to avoid the quiet moments where their deepest fears and insecurities arise. The traveler once met a man who dreaded solitude. He filled his life with people and obligations, fearing the emptiness that came with silence. Yet despite the company, he still felt alone. His heart was restless, not because he lacked others, but because he lacked harmony within himself. Then how does one conquer loneliness? The traveler asked. Find comfort in your own presence. The monk replied. When you can sit in stillness without seeking escape, you have conquered loneliness. True peace does not come from external company but from being at ease within yourself. A tree stands alone in the vast field, yet it does not suffer, for it is rooted in its own being. Be like the tree, firm, present, and unshaken by the absence of others. Solitude is not a void to be feared but a space to be embraced. It is within stillness that the mind finds clarity, and the heart finds peace. To conquer loneliness, one must not seek others, but rather, seek oneself. Chapter 6. The Desire for Revenge. Revenge is a fire. It consumes both the enemy and the avenger. Many believe justice is found in revenge. They think that by inflicting pain upon those who wrong them, they will find peace. But vengeance does not heal wounds, it deepens them. It keeps anger alive, fueling an endless cycle of suffering. The traveler had seen people devote their lives to payback, only to destroy themselves in the process. Their obsession with retribution hardened their hearts, blinding them to the beauty of life and the possibility of peace. What should one do instead? He asked. Forgive, not for them, but for yourself. Let go, and you will be free." The monk replied, "Carrying resentment is like holding a burning coal, waiting to throw it at another. It is your hand that gets burned first. Release it, and you release yourself." The traveler reflected on this wisdom. He had met those who had forgiven great betrayals and found serenity, while those who clung to hatred remained trapped in their own suffering. To seek revenge was to tie oneself to the past. To forgive was to step into freedom. "Does forgiveness mean forgetting?" the traveler asked. "No," the monk answered. "It means learning. It means recognizing the pain, understanding its lessons, and choosing not to let it rule your heart. True strength is not in punishing others but in liberating yourself from their hold. Only in letting go does one find true justice, not by balancing pain with pain, but by choosing a path that leads to peace rather than destruction." Chapter 7. The Weakness of Jealousy. A jealous heart is never at peace. People compare themselves endlessly, measuring their worth by another's success. But jealousy is an illusion. It does not take from others, but it steals your own joy. Then how should one view others' success? The traveler asked. With joy. What another has does not diminish you. Celebrate, and you will be free. Jealousy arises from attachment to status, wealth, recognition, or validation. It is rooted in the illusion of separateness, the mistaken belief that life is a competition where one's gain must be another's loss. But reality is not so. The success of another does not lessen your own potential, just as the brightness of one star does not diminish the light of another. A wise person sees success not as a possession but as a flowing river, always moving, always changing. What comes today may leave tomorrow. If we grasp tightly to what is not ours, suffering follows. But if we rejoice in the fortune of others, we cultivate an abundant heart, one that does not wither in the presence of another's bloom. Meditation teaches us to observe emotions without attachment. When jealousy arises, see it as passing clouds, momentary, insubstantial. Do not let it take root. Instead, practice mudita, the joy in another's happiness. It is a path to liberation, a way to break free from the endless cycle of craving and comparison. A jealous heart seeks what it lacks. A peaceful heart sees what it already has. In truth, contentment is the greatest wealth, and envy the deepest poverty. Release comparison, and you will find peace. Celebrate others, and you will discover boundless joy. Chapter 8. The Weakness of Over-Attachment. To hold too tightly is to break what you love. People cling to relationships, possessions, even identities, but everything changes. Attachment only invites suffering. What is the answer? The traveler asked. Love without possessing. Appreciate without needing to hold. True love is found in letting go. Attachment arises from fear. The fear of loss, of impermanence, of emptiness. But to resist change is to resist life itself. The tighter we grip, the more we suffer. A hand that clutches sand finds it slipping away, while an open palm allows it to rest naturally. True love is spacious. It allows freedom, not control. When we grasp, we distort love into possession. When we demand, we turn affection into obligation. But love that flows without expectation is boundless. It grows, rather than shrinks. Everything is temporary. Relationships evolve. Possessions fade. Identities shift. Yet, in releasing attachment, we do not lose. We gain peace. To love without grasping, to experience without clinging, is to truly live. Chapter 9. The Weakness of Lies. A dishonest life is a house built on sand. People lie, to others and to themselves, fearing truth. But lies never prevent suffering, they only delay it. Then what should one do? Live truthfully, even when difficult. A life of truth is a life of peace. Lies arise from fear, fear of judgment, rejection, or consequences. Yet, deception is a heavy burden. Each falsehood requires another to sustain it, weaving a web that entangles the heart. Truth, though sometimes painful, is liberating. It cuts through illusion and brings clarity. To live truthfully is to live lightly, unburdened by the weight of deception. Honesty fosters trust, both with others and within oneself. A mind at peace does not need to remember falsehoods or hide behind masks. When we embrace truth, we embrace freedom. Even when truth is difficult, it is the only path to real peace. Lies may offer temporary comfort, but only truth offers lasting liberation. Chapter 10. The Weakness of Ignorance. A closed mind is a locked door, one that leads nowhere. Many resist learning, fearing change, but wisdom comes not from clinging to old beliefs but from seeking truth beyond comfort. How does one open their mind? The traveler asked. By questioning, by listening, by seeking truth beyond what is familiar. Ignorance thrives in certainty, in the refusal to see beyond one's own perspective. A rigid mind, like stagnant water, becomes polluted over time, but an open mind flows, allowing wisdom to enter. To seek truth, one must first accept that they do not know everything. True wisdom is born from humility, the willingness to listen, to challenge assumptions, and to embrace the unfamiliar. Growth comes not from defending what is comfortable but from exploring what is unknown. Only through awareness does ignorance dissolve. The more we seek, the more we understand, and in understanding, we find true liberation. Conclusion. The journey to inner peace. As the traveler left the mountains, he realized something profound. The weaknesses he had learned about were not just in others, but in himself. True strength was not in hiding these weaknesses but in understanding and overcoming them. And so, with a lighter heart and a clearer mind, he continued his journey, not seeking to change others, but to master himself. The greatest battle is not against the world, but against the illusions within. Fear, attachment, jealousy, and ignorance. These are the chains that bind the mind. Yet, awareness is the key, to see one's weaknesses without judgment, to accept them with clarity, and to transform them with wisdom. That is the path to true liberation. The traveler no longer sought perfection, for he now understood that wisdom is not in being flawless, but in learning from every step, every mistake. Each moment of awareness was a step toward inner peace. What weaknesses do you see in yourself? The first step to true strength is recognizing them, and in that recognition, the journey begins.